Welcome to Herself, a space for women to have deep conversations about the intersection between spiritual entrepreneurship and fulfilling your potential, so you can become the woman you truly are in every area of your life. After being in business for over 2 decades, I've learned, as you likely have too, that as you grow your business grows you in unexpected, often challenging, yet miraculous ways. Here, we'll talk about how to get out of your own way so you can grow a business that's abundant and sustainable while allowing you to be a force for good in the world. I'll give you simple, actionable strategies as well as wisdom and inspiration to help you root into your wholeness, lead from your values, and work in ways that feel deeply aligned so you can bring your true self into the world through your business and in every area of your life. Hello, beautiful women. Welcome back to the Herself podcast. And today we are going to talk about something that is really important. I feel like I say that every week because it's all really important. And I see it again coming up so often with so many of the incredible women that I work with. And it's this deep hesitation around investing in themselves and their dreams. And specifically, it's around this belief that we need permission from others, whether that's a spouse, a partner, or a family member, before we can take our own bold steps forward into the unfolding of our destiny and our business and professional journey. So I want to take you behind the scenes of my business and to say that it's not uncommon for a woman to feel deeply called to work with me or to experience the journey that we can go on together and in community with other women, whether that's in Sorcerer CEO or in more of a one-on-one setting and private mentoring. And they confide in me their struggles around discussing the investment with their husbands. And what strikes me the most in these situations is how much these women's parts are, well, let me say, how much their deep self is fully on board. And that's why, on all my program pages, for those that have a bigger investment of time and energy and money, and also the size of the transformation that's possible, is reflected in the level of the investment. The two go hand in hand, right? I always have a question on there that says, pause, breathe, and ask yourself, if I trusted myself completely, what would I do? So what would I do if I trusted myself completely? And I love this question because, for me, when I am, in what IFS we call it a polarization, where I have some parts of me wanting one thing and wanting to move in one direction and other parts of me wanting to move in another direction. And there's that sense of internal friction or even escalating to a level of internal war. And the result of that is it keeps us stuck. And if we want to really fulfill upon our destinies here, we need to spend as little time being stuck as possible, which means we need to be able to make clear decisions, important decisions relatively swiftly. So asking this question really helps to start to clear out the fog if we get really honest with ourselves. And it's helpful to ask yourself this question, first thing in the morning, before you turn on your phone, before you get on your computer, kind of when you're, I had a Dharma teacher years ago who said that in the morning, it's like your teacup is half empty, but by the end of the day, your teacup is overflowing. And maybe journaling about it or maybe just meditating with it. What would I do if I trusted myself completely? So often when I speak to women who are feeling that internal struggle about investing in themselves, and I want to also just extrapolate out and say it's not just about investing with me. That that's just what I have my personal experience with having these more intimate conversations with women, but it could be do any sort of significant investment in yourself. So they know in their hearts, in their bones, that this is the next right step. And I can feel it in them. I am not going to be encouraging a woman to say yes to something if I am feeling, no, actually, this is not her truth. No, this is actually not in her highest good. I will be the first to tell her that. But I'm talking about those cases where it's clear, like this is their truth. But they feel stuck around initiating the conversation with a loved one that would facilitate them to make this investment. And again, this is such a common experience that it's worth us taking some time today to unpack why this happens and how to move through it with more grace and power. Again, because the more swiftly we can make decisions that are aligned with our highest good and highest truth, just the more that our path is going to unfold as it needs to beneath us, the less we're going to stay stuck in the mud. And here's the truth that I really want you to take in. Permission always starts with you. And I want to remind you, and as I'm reminding myself, how you are in one area of your life is how you are in every area of your life. So I want to speak to the truth that so many women entrepreneurs treat their businesses like hobbies rather than as the powerful vehicles for transformation that they truly are. So raise your hand if that's you, if you treat your business as a hobby. Maybe not outwardly, but maybe internally you feel that way. And this is not a judgment because I have been there too. And I remember years ago reading Stephen Pressfield's book, Going Pro. And I recommend this book often to Women in Sorceress CEO. It's really a phenomenal kick in the pants. And it supported me in seeing the need for me to up-level my commitment to my work and to start seeing it as something that's valuable and important enough to prioritize in a bigger way. I think that prior to that, I kind of had this idea of like, or, even as like deeper down, kind of submerged, subconscious, like, who am I to do this? Who am I to pretend that this is important? And that book really started to help me to shift that. And it was a practice, it was a process. But now I can't even imagine thinking of my business just as a hobby. It's like, no, this is my calling. This is so central to my life. And it's not my whole life. There are lots of other areas of my life that are also feeding into this and intersecting with my work and also part of my calling. But this is a significant piece of it. So here's what I now know to be true, that real sustainable growth, both business and at the soul level, happen when we start taking ourselves and our work seriously. What do I mean by treating your business like a hobby? Well, it shows up in some subtle ways. Maybe you only work on your business when it's convenient, fitting it in around everyone else's needs and schedules. Maybe you hesitate to invest in higher level support because, well, this is just a little side thing. Or maybe you find yourself diminishing your work when you talk about it with others, especially with your partner. And this often shows up very strongly when your spouse or your partner is the primary breadwinner. And maybe they're a doctor or a lawyer or a corporate executive, or they're simply just making more money than you, doing what society views as a, air quotes, serious profession. And in comparison, your, air quotes, spiritual business, your coaching practice, your healing work can feel less than, less serious, less important, less worthy of investment. And I had a conversation recently with a woman in my world who said something that really struck me. She said, Sarah, I realized I've been asking my husband's permission to grow my business, but I never asked permission to buy groceries or take care of our home. And the truth is, I've been treating my work like a hobby because he has the real job. So think about that for a moment. As women, we often don't think twice about investing in our homes, our children's activities, or our family's needs. Yet when it comes to investing in ourselves and our businesses, the very things that can create more abundance and impact for our families, we feel like we need someone else's approval. And in terms of investment, you get what you pay for. And I know that, I've learned it again and again, just the more that I invest in A players, whether that's people on my team or people that I'm working with, the more that I get A level results. And there's something that is really called forward in oneself when we make a bigger investment. Just think about how you feel or how you would feel if you haven't had that experience of if you booked a plane ticket in business class versus sitting in coach, or if you booked a room in a beautiful hotel versus just renting a room in someone's house on an Airbnb. It has a very different energy within you, right? So versus if you just book like a 1 hour call with someone versus stepping into a longer, deeper, stronger container of transformation. So this isn't just about money. It's about your sovereignty. It's about owning your role as the queen of your life, as the leader of your business, at the helm of your destiny. Because here's the thing, no one else can give you permission to be the leader that you truly are. That permission has to come from within. And how do you do that? You might ask. Well, first let's pause and get really curious about what's happening in our internal system when we diminish our work or seek permission to grow. And to understand this fully, we need to look at the deeper roots, the ancestral wounds, really, that our parts are carrying. Because these patterns of permission seeking and self-diminishment, they definitely didn't just start with us. We know that for generations, women weren't allowed to own property or have their own bank accounts or make financial decisions without a man's approval. Our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers, the women before them lived in a world where their economic power was systematically suppressed. So while those explicit laws have changed, thank goodness, their energetic imprint still lives in our collective psyche. Our parts still carry these ancient wounds of having to ask permission, of having to make ourselves small, of having to defer to others, especially when it comes to money and power. And I want to clarify that I'm not talking about overriding what your partner wants or what your family wants. I am in a relationship where one of our agreements, because we have a list of about a dozen agreements. One of them is that we make all decisions together. But there's a difference between making a decision together and needing to get permission. So from an internal family systems perspective, we can see how these ancestral patterns show up within us today. For example, there might be a young part that learned early on that it wasn't able or wasn't safe to take up space or to make big decisions without approval, or that didn't feel like you could trust yourself to really know what's best for you, that you need to outsource that to someone else. And this part carries not just your personal history, but the history of all the women in your lineage who had to ask permission to ensure their survival. It was literally a life and death thing. And there might be a perfectionist part that wants absolute certainty before moving forward. And this one might be carrying the weight of generations of women who faced severe consequences for stepping out of line or claiming their power. And often there's a harmony keeping part that fears rocking the boat in your relationship. This part has inherited centuries of conditioning that taught women their role was to maintain peace at all costs, even if it meant sacrificing their own dreams and ambitions. And I see this especially with women whose partners have more traditional careers, and these parts can get really activated around financial decisions because they're carrying not just personal beliefs, but centuries of patriarchal conditioning about what constitutes real work or a real business. And here's what's vital to understand. While these parts might be in the driver's seat right now, they're not meant to be driving the car. That seat belongs to your true self, your inner wisdom, your deep knowing. That dimension of you that feels called to do this work in the world, that knows your business is so much more than a hobby, that knows that you really don't have any choice to not do this work. It's like, how can you not? Again, when it's your calling, how can you not? And if it's in your heart, if it is a desire in your heart, that is not a bad thing. That is a clear expression from your true self that this is a part of your path. This is an important unfolding of your potentiality. So when we can acknowledge these protective parts with compassion, while gently helping them to step back, something profound shifts. We begin to heal not just our wounds, but the ancestral wounds that we've inherited, and we can begin to lead from self-energy. That place of clarity, of confidence, of deep knowing that lives within each of us. So how do we move forward from here? How do we move forward when we feel that stuckness, when we feel that inner tug of war? Well, let's talk about one of the most powerful shifts that you can make. And that is moving from permission seeking to enrollment. Okay, moving from permission seeking to enrollment. So let's talk about how to have these conversations, what that looks like, what that sounds like from a place of self-leadership rather than seeking approval. Because there's a world of a difference between enrolling your partner in your dream as a means of informing them about an investment you feel deeply called to make in your business versus asking for permission. So one, you're coming from your empowered self, your true self, and one, you're coming from one of these younger parts of you. And this distinction, let's just be clear here, it's not just about conversations with your partner or whoever it is. It shows up everywhere in your business. It's present when you're speaking with potential clients, when you're sharing your offers, when you are setting your prices. There's an energy of conviction rather than submission and fear, and that energy is magnetic. It's attractive. It draws people to you. So think about it. When someone is truly lit up about their vision, when they speak with authentic conviction about what they're saying, it's inspiring. That's enrolling. That's leadership. Here's what this might sound like. Instead of, would it be okay if I invested in this program? Try, I'm excited to share with you the vision I have for my business and how this investment will serve me at such a deep level and how it will serve us as I step more fully into my power and my true calling. Instead of, do you think I should do this? Try, I know this is my next right step. And I'd love to share more with you about why I feel so deeply called to do this. So it's like you have to start to step into the shoes of the future self that is embodying the transformation of what this investment will bring you. You need to speak from her, as her. So can you notice the energetic difference? Well, one comes from a childlike place of needing approval, and the other one comes from your sovereign self, or the CEO of your business who knows her worth, who's clear in her vision. And then this same energy carries through to every aspect of your business. When you're enrolling clients, they can feel whether you're asking permission to serve them or confidently inviting them into transformation. When you're setting prices, people can sense whether you're apologetically asking for money or clearly stating your value. Now, this isn't about being dismissive of others or of their input. It's about owning your power to make decisions while creating space for partnership and support. Because remember, your partner fell in love with you, the true you, not a diminished version of you who needs permission to grow. Your clients are drawn to your medicine, not a watered down version that's seeking approval. It's people pleasing. And here's something crucial to understand. When you start showing up differently, when you start leading from this place of conviction, of enrollment, rather than permission seeking, people around you will respond differently. They'll feel your certainty. They'll respect your decisions. They'll be drawn to your clarity, to your authenticity. And then let me share what becomes possible when you embrace this way of showing up in your business and in your life. When you shift from seeking permission to enrolling others in your vision, everything changes. Your sales conversations become more powerful. You're confidently inviting people into the transformation. Your marketing becomes more magnetic because you're speaking from a place of inviting and conviction rather than approval. You're not waiting for validation to share your message. You're sharing it because you know in your bones that it needs to be heard. So then your business decisions become clearer because you're operating from self-leadership rather than from those protective parts that need everyone to approve first. You start making choices based on what will truly serve your mission, not what will keep everyone comfortable. So you can see here, it's like a domino effect in a very positive way. You went from being stuck and in conflict with yourself to really advocating for your true desires, your deep soul desires. And then that starts to ripple forward, and all the other decisions you're making are happening more swiftly and easily. Then here's what's fascinating. When you step into this level of conviction and clarity, the people around you, including your partner, often naturally step into support, not because you've convinced them or because you've asked permission, but because your certainty becomes contagious. Your conviction creates trust. And I've seen this transformation so many times inside Sorcerer CEO or the women I do one-on-one mentoring with, women who start out asking permission. They end up naturally commanding respect for their business decisions when they stick with the process. Not through force or conflict, but through the natural authority that comes from truly owning your path and your power, putting your crown on. Because here's the truth. The world needs your medicine. It needs your leadership. It needs your light. And none of that can fully emerge if you have a little girl in the driver's seat waiting for permission to shine. So I invite you to reflect. Where in your business are you seeking permission instead of enrolling others in your vision? Where are you diminishing your vision, thinking it's not important? Oh, there's just this little hobby? No more. What would change if you showed up with the same conviction about your work that you feel about your deepest values? And what becomes possible when you trust your own inner knowing? Well, it gets you out of playing small. And when you play small, you invest small, and the results you get are small. And you are not here to live a small life. You are here to live a very grand destiny that is completely unique to you. And remember, your growth serves not just you, but all those you're here to help. This is not selfish. This is one of the most sacred things you could ever do. This isn't just about business. It's about becoming the woman you're meant to be. And that requires investment. Money is energy. Applying ourselves to something is energy. Putting our energy in the direction of our greatness. And let's pay it forward. So if this message today resonated with you, please share it with another woman who might need to hear it. Maybe a woman who's thinking about her business as a hobby, who is stuck in analysis paralysis, not making the decision, who's playing small by shying away from investing in her dreams in a more substantial way that will really help to move them forward. So until next time, feel your heart's true desires, claim them, trust them, and then advocate for them. Many blessings. Bye for now. Thank you for joining me today. And remember, change doesn't come from listening alone. I invite you to commit to taking one small or large, courageous action after today's conversation. One step you can take, if you haven't already, is to sign up for my Sunday journal. It's a weekly newsletter filled with inspiration and reflections about the intersection between spiritual entrepreneurship and fulfilling your potential to help you become the woman you truly are in every area of your life. You can subscribe at programs-sarahavonstover.com/journal. And if you found this podcast valuable, please share it with the women in your world. Also, I'd be very grateful if you'd leave a review. It helps others find resources like this, and I'd love to hear what's coming alive for you after listening today. Above all, keep going, and never forget the unique offerings you and your true self bring to the world. Until next time, I'm sending you my heartfelt support.